Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel, and welcome to my channel. This will be a sketchbook tour video. Well, it's not really a sketchbook, it has more of finished paintings. I would call this my pretty sketchbook, and then I have my real sketchbook, which is a smaller version of this art creation sketchbook. The brand is Talens art creation. I don't know if you can see, but it's the same sketchbook that almost everyone uses because the price is so good compared to the quality. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first page, this is just a little meet the artist self-portrait of me as a fairy. And then here is just some gouache practice. I actually got my very first gouache palettes at the same time that I started this sketchbook. So most of the paintings in this sketchbook are made with that palette. It's the Himi gouache palette. And here I did some like little sketches on paper before this, so these are not like my very first tries. And obviously I did this one also before, but here I just wanted to try different things out, like how I can layer white or black or other colors. Yes, and here I did some characters. Never did them after this page and never did them before this page, but I guess I wanted to try something new. And this is one of my favorite spreads in the whole sketchbook. I really like the colors, and I'm really impressed on how I got it looking this nice, just starting with the gouache. Some flowers, you can never go wrong with flowers, they're always so nice to paint. This is a spread I like, but I remember it was really frustrating to work on. Like, first of all, the skin of the fairy was not turning out right. I remember I did so many layers, and you can even see here some parts that are where the paper is more worn. And this just didn't turn out like my reference picture. It turned out nice, but it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so I just remember I didn't like this spread at all when I worked on it, but now looking at it, it's really nice. And here we're getting into the Inktober mood, making pumpkin paintings. And here are some Inktober paintings, or Arttober paintings. I've never took part in Inktober actually. I do the other challenges. I think this is for Map Graves challenge, Maps Drawloween, and this is like a spooky self-portrait. I wanted to convey a sort of over the garden wall vibe in this spread, and I think you can hear my cat in the background, but try not to mind it. I think this is the only unfinished painting in this sketchbook. I just did not... I mean, you can see how small those faces are. I did not want to try to make them look like Lorelai and Rory. It was too much work. And this is why I didn't want to attempt the Gilmore Girls painting, or attempt to finish it, because this is supposed to be Doja Cat, and I know it does not look like Doja Cat. I'm a little better in likeness now, but really wasn't when I started painting portraits more. I really like the colors on this page. Love the blue and the white and the orange together. These are original characters. And this is a master study of a portrait of Anastasia Ushakova. I haven't written down the artist, but you can just search Anastasia Ushakova and I think this painting will come up. Here I got Posca pens as a Christmas present, I think. So this is made entirely with Posca pens, and the background is Posca and the painting is still gouache. These are cutouts of paper and then I glued it onto the brown paper. These are also made with that same technique, so I painted them on paper or cardboard. It's like a thicker paper, I don't know what I used, but painted it first and then cut it out and then glued here. Studio Ghibli fan art. I remember working on this for so long because there is not really much contrast in the original screen cap. That was my reference, and I was so frustrated that there was no contrast because I could not get it looking the way I wanted it to. This is an underwater painting. I don't know if you can tell, but I tried to paint water. I don't do it so much because it's just painting a bunch of small lines, and I like florals and animals and portraits more, but every now and then I like to challenge myself. Here I challenge myself again by painting a fantasy sort of landscape. I don't usually do those, but I really love looking at them, and I really love fantasy. It's my favorite book genre. And this is my version of Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. Now this portrait I really like, and I think it turned out well. I wasn't going so much for the likeness, but I think it still turned out a lot like the reference. And thunderstorm is my favorite weather, so I wanted to paint that, and I really like the contrast here, and I love the colors. Dark green is my favorite color. Here I went out to the forest and I picked some mushrooms, not for eating, don't worry. If you see some poisonous mushrooms, I picked them out just so I could do some painting studies of them. Here I tried to do pixel art, but I made the pixels too big, so I don't know if you can tell what this is. So it's supposed to be like a flowery field with, here are some trees, and here's the sun, and then here's the sky with some darker clouds over here. And I also purchased inks, and this is made with one blue ink, so I used like a nib pen, and then I used a brush to make these. I really like how that turned out. I think these are once again for Inktober. Some autumnal paintings. Here I used colored pencils on top of the gouache.
to get these light effects. And this is made with acrylic paints. I think this is the only painting made with acrylic paints in the sketchbook. And this is made on a brown paper bag with gouache and again the colored pencils. This is one of my favorite drawings in the sketchbook. This is our family dog. And now that I'm seeing that, I'm realizing that I probably skipped a page that he was on. Yeah, I skipped this one. Because here he is also. His real name is Onni, which means luck, but we call him Nakki, which means sausage, because he's a mutt, but he has some dachshund. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but you know, the long sausage-like dog. I think this painting is like my most liked painting on Instagram, probably. This is made with those inks that I bought. I think at the time I only had like orange and blue and brown. So I had a limited palette and I made this and it turned out so nice. And I think everyone liked it too, since it's the most liked picture on Instagram. And here are some baby axolotls. And here I attempted to paint some architecture. It was really hard, probably not attempting that soon again. It took so much time that I took a really long break after this from painting, because I worked on this especially for so long. I had to use colored pencils because the details were so tiny. And I'm sorry if I butchered any words on here. I tried to get them as close as to the reference as I could. I really like this tiger. I like how the texture turned out in his head. And this worm was a pain to work on because of the details. So many details. This is a self-portrait of me. I dyed my hair, so I have like brown ginger-ish hair, and I dyed like a money piece here and then another blonde stripe here. But now that I'm thinking about it, you really can't see the new hair, can you? Because I did it in blue. I'm sorry if the light is changing too much. The sun is going down right now. And it's like 2 p.m. This spread was inspired by Sophie McPike's techniques, so she likes to pre-blobinate her pages, which means she'll take a colorful color, usually pink or purple, and she paints like just a bunch of shapes. You can see here and here and here, so it's easier to start painting when the page is not just white. And I wanted to let the colors show through. This is also one of my favorite spreads. This is a view from my walking way to work one summer. My summer job. I don't know how to put it in words in English. And here are some other things from that month that I did or I liked. This was my favorite painting from the gallery showing exhibition that we had at the art museum that I worked at, and some bugs that I saw on a hike we went to, and a flower bouquet I collected, and I used a lot of ink, so an ink bottle, and bought some books, so drew those. I remember that there is another painting under this. I don't know what it was, but I remember that I hated it, so I painted over it. And this is painted on like a thicker paper again and cut out and glued over here. And these lambs are cut out and glued from white paper. I don't know why I did it. They're so small, it was so hard to cut out. And I love to use this brown paper bag that you can get from the store for your fruits and stuff. It's amazing with gouache and colored pencils. I really like how this turned out. I wanted to keep it more simple, not make it super realistic. And practicing portraiture again. I found out that Reddit has a r/Reddit gets drawn page. That's where I got this reference from. It's a really fun page. You should check it out if you ever need references for your paintings. And we're back again with the Inktober paintings. This one I really like. The original picture was in colors and I wanted to challenge myself to practice more like tones and lights and shadows, so I wanted to do the portraits only in green, and I really like how it turned out. This is the cover picture for the Under the Dome series. I read the book. I did not like the book, but I wanted to paint this picture. This is my other cat, Iivari. I can add some additional footage of my cats at the end of the video. And these are this year's Inktober paintings. This one and, well, I think that's it. I didn't do very many. This is Posca pens on black acrylic paint. And you can see I got a little bit more lazy here at the end. And it was not the last page, but it was the last page that I drew. For some reason at the end I went back and forth, but otherwise I filled these pages out in order. And here is Iivari again. Yeah, so I finished this on the 30th of September. This year. It took a really long time, but finally finished it.